I'm Joel Baird, the General Manager of Missoula Community Access Television, inviting you to take a little time to learn about candidates for Missoula City Council in this fall of 2023. Mail-in ballots will be sent. There'll be a primary for Ward 5. And otherwise, you'll see candidates on your ballot mailed to you by the election office this fall in anticipation of the November election. In this edition of Learn About Your City Council Candidates, we have Amber Sherrill in the studio running for a seat to represent Ward 4. Amber, welcome. Thanks for taking the time. The people at home could feel like they've heard from you what your thoughts are about your campaign. So here's your very first question. What motivated you to seek this office?
Well, first I want to say thank you for doing this. I think it's really important, and the more that constituents can understand what their who their council people are and what they believe in, I think that it's a good public service. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate everything you do here. And I think the question you just asked was about why I'm running and what motivated me to run. I'm currently the city council person for Ward 4. So this will be my 4th year. And, you know, when I originally came in here 4 years ago and did the interview, I said that I was motivated because I'd done a lot of volunteer work in my time, and I felt like this was almost the next step of giving back to the community. And I do still feel that way, but different things motivate me now, right? Like I've got a little bit of more knowledge. So I guess a couple things are motivating me. I'm motivated because I do still feel like there are a lot of issues in our community that need a little bit of experience behind them on city council, which I finally have. So I'm motivated for that. I'm motivated because there are, as I think we'll get into in later questions, there are some things that I really care about that I don't think I'm done with. So I'm hoping to serve again just to keep working on things that I'm currently involved in. So.
Right. And, of course, that is the next question. If elected, what would your top 3 priorities be?
Great. And the other thing, you know, what I would say as we talk about those top 3 priorities, that one thing I've learned about this job is that it is the great balancing act, right? I mean, issues are often competing against each other. And so trying to find that balance is just something I'm always striving for, and thinking about what the domino effects of my decisions are and how those are affecting the community positively or negatively, because sometimes they're a little bit of both. The 3 things, though, if I have to break it down to 3 things, right, I would say my top priorities, it's, as I said 4 years ago, and I will continue to say, climate change mitigation and resiliency is a huge issue for me. I have spent most of my life working in conservation, and I bring that skill set to the table. The last 4 years, I have been the climate parks, what's the name of the committee? Climate Conservation and Parks Chair. I hope to continue in that role because it's something that does speak to my skill set. We're doing some exciting things in the city. Some of them aren't super sexy, but they're making a difference in our carbon emissions, and that's really important to me, and I want to continue to be part of that. So number 1 would be climate. It's always going to be climate. It is the challenge of our generation. It is something that we need to do at every single level of government, and we need change, and we need real change, and we need to do it quickly. I think I won't go negative, but I think that there are lots of examples of that around the world right now.
And when you use the term resiliency, I'm just thinking some viewers might be like, what does that mean?
Well, I mean, I would say resiliency is really like, how do we deal with increased smoke? How do we deal with increased heat? Doesn't feel like we're going to have a lot of flooding issues, but we do in the spring, right? How are we dealing with those? How are we dealing with climate migration that is coming north, right, as temperatures are heating up in the south? So, I mean, there are lots of effects of climate that maybe you don't think of off the top of your head, but you know, but they're there.
When you say climate migration, you're saying like, oh man, I've been in Texas, it's 120, I gotta go north.
I am, yeah, I am. And when you really read about climate and the changes in climate and how that affects conservation, how it affects the movement of people, I mean, it's real, and it's definitely affecting us already, I think. So that's what I mean by, okay, so that's my number one. Okay, what's number two? Number two has to be, I mean, I guess climate is number one, but of three things, housing and homelessness. And I put those two together because I think they're inextricably linked together. We're doing some things that I think are exciting in that realm. We're not going to solve either of them. We are a very appealing place to live, and a lot of people want to move here. But we do have 400 units, some that are already online, some that are coming online, of affordable housing online. If anyone's watching this and you're looking for housing, go to contact the Missoula Housing Authority. I have said that to lots of people because so they can connect you with what you need for the affordable housing piece. And you know, as we experience problems in vacancy rates. I mean, that's getting a little better, right? As this
was it what, 0.5%?
Yeah, and I believe a healthy market is over 3, or maybe even closer to 5. I'm not in real estate myself, but it's something a lot higher than 0.5. So that is bouncing back. We're somewhere closer to 2, 1.5 or 2, which isn't good, but it's going in it's trending,
0.5.
right? Yeah, and it's trending in the right direction. So I think that's really important. So hopefully we'll see those rents stabilize. Hopefully we'll see the cost of housing stabilize. We'll be able to get some movement so it's not so gridlocked. For me, you know, I'm an empty nester as of a week ago. I know. I just talked to her today. She's doing good.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
happy, but that's a hard place to be. But, you know, we live in a family home. We may downsize, but if we can't downsize, we can't downsize. So that means the next family with young kids can't get into our house. And so it's that gridlock.
If people want to give up larger homes as they age out of parenting. You're saying, well, there's nowhere for them to go. They say, oh, well, we'll get a 1-bedroom. Well,
if it's not available,
or the price is crazy.
Yeah.
Or the interest rate is double than what you're used to paying.
All those things really affect the housing market. And it really affects, I mean, it creates an environment where those that are living on the edge, if they have rent increases, if there's or if their property gets sold, that happens, you know, there's no place to go. So it's adding to what is a national epidemic of homelessness in our country. So I think those are my two other things, right? And lots of things we can do and difference we can make in those. My third, which I think I said last time too, is that I still want to continue to advocate for tax reform at the statewide level. We have an antiquated tax system. And we have had a shift over the last 2 decades of taxes being paid. I think we're at 65% are residential properties, and the rest is commercial and centrally assessed properties. Those are big corporations. Think Spectrum, Northwest Energy, you know, those companies.
They're called centrally assessed.
They're centrally assessed properties, and the whole tax structure for them is a bit different. But those are properties that have property in more than one jurisdiction, right? So if you think about their pipelines, their poles, their companies that have, even Walmart, I think, is considered a centrally assessed property. So what has happened is there have been some tax rebates over the years for those, or tax credits for these big companies, and someone's shouldering that, and we're shouldering it. So the whole system makes me angry the more I've learned about it. I didn't really understand it, I'll be honest. When I came in 4 years ago, I didn't really understand it. And I would suggest that anyone that did not get to see the City Club presentation where Dan Bucks, who was the former director of the Department of Revenue, came in, he is brilliant, and I thought, oh, he's going to get into all these numbers and charts, and everyone's going to kind of glaze over. He didn't. He was fabulous, and he said, you know, you should be angry. You should be angry that and it doesn't matter if you own or you rent, because you're paying property taxes one way or the other. So, you know, that is a difficulty at a local level. But I think that the more that we can get people to reach out to their legislators, and it's an issue across party lines. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, right? We need to have some real tax reform. I'm still advocating for what I call a tourism tax. I know you have more questions, so I better be quiet. But
You've got plenty of time, actually. You don't have to rush. And
Okay,
that gives
I'm
you
a talker.
moment to say, that MCAT's recorded City Club the last 15 years.
Yeah.
On each month, pretty much. And that Dan Buck presentation is there. And also
good.
there's also information from Wednesdays with the mayor, where Jordan Hess was describing how, when Montana was a resource extraction state,
Yeah.
right here, the Bonner Mill or the Frenchtown Mill, they provided so many, tax benefits. And as we've turned to a tourist state, the tourists come and they go, and only through something like a local option, gas tax or something like that, would people be able to capture some of that tourist revenue to replace some of that resource extraction revenue.
Well
But
said.
the state won't have any of it.
They won't have any of it.
You want a common movement across party lines and from the average Jane and John Doe to say, please, state government, something's got to change.
Yeah, at least let our constituents vote on it, right? Like we could put it out to voters. Whitefish has it. They've put, I think, I don't want to misquote this number, but they put a bunch of that money there. Their voters decided to put it toward their roads. And so that money has gone toward their roads.
From a local tourist.
Yeah, and they tax Airbnbs, they tax like restaurants, they tax prepared food in grocery stores. I mean, I'm not a big fan of taxing any kind of grocery store stuff, but that's my personal opinion. But the point is that the voters got to decide what they're taxing too. And it has been great for that community. So, tourists swim in our rivers, we have erosion in our river, we have them driving on our trails, they use our emergency services. Great, I'm not anti-tourism at all. I think they bring a lot into our community and support our businesses, but I think that they should pay taxes, and I don't think anyone has ever gone, where is there no sales tax that I'm going to go to vacation there? So I think that it's not going to stop tourism, and I think it would be a way to let our community really embrace this new economy that we have, because it's here whether you embrace it or not.
Like it or not. I wonder if Hawaii would provide, some sort of modeling for what Montana's becoming.
Yeah.
Because it always seems like there's an ambivalence there towards the tourists. Like, well, we love you, go.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. But so I think those would be the things, tax reform, housing and houselessness, and also climate change mitigation.
What did you learn on the campaign trail?
Well, so the campaign trail's really just starting for me this time. One of the things I am interested in finding out is, I knocked on so many doors last time, and it was almost like a sense of like, what is going on in our ward? What are they thinking about? What do my constituents care about? I haven't done that yet, because I'm waiting until after the primary, so there's no confusion there. But I do think it'll be interesting to see how things have changed in 4 years. That's what I'm really looking forward to in campaigning more than anything, is kind of understanding what the change, what they care about. Again, I do hear about it, what they care about on city council, but there's only certain people that engage on certain issues.
This is the problem of democracy, I think.
It is.
Is that there's like a whole set of us that are sort of exogenous, extroverted types, right? We're suited to democracy because we don't mind getting up and talking. And it doesn't respond to people that will respond to a knock on the door, but they're shy.
Exactly.
They're not going to go down to City Hall.
And the one thing that I thought was really interesting is that when I first got on council, I remember our late John Ingen, I said to him in my first meeting with him after I got on council, I said, what I heard about at the doors is not what people are saying when they're coming in. It's not most of the public comment. So I didn't know X, Y, or Z was such an issue. And he said, you need to remember that. You just need to remember that that's important, to listen to what your constituents are saying, to measure that only certain people are coming in. And it's not that that's not important. Yep. It's just that that's one piece of your constituency and of our city.
Yeah. It's the riddle of democracy.
It is the riddle, yeah.
Okay, and finally, what do you want potential voters to know about you?
What do I want people to know about me? I think that I think the skill set that I have that lends itself to this work is I have very thick skin, which
That's good.
which definitely helped. But I'm thoughtful in my decisions, but I'm also just really balanced. I don't have any pet projects. I know sometimes people think we do. You know, you heard my priorities, but I think those are my priorities because they're the priorities for this city. I don't think I should go into this having a pet project. I think that I should be listening to my constituents. I should be looking at the information that I have that they don't have, and I should be trying to make the best decisions and prioritize the things that seem like they are the most important for our community as a whole. So I think I'm good at that. I mean, you know, I'm a mom, I'm a dog owner, I'm a trail user, I'm a conservationist, and yeah, I guess that's what hopefully people know about me by now.
Great. Well, thanks, Amber.
Yeah,
for taking
thanks.
the time. And thank you, dear viewer, for taking the time to learn about Missoula City Council elections. We've been visiting with Amber Sherrill. She is running for a seat in Ward 4. And you could Google it to make sure so people don't know their wards. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. Also, Amber has a Facebook page. Scott's going to show that to you briefly now. So you could go on Facebook and learn more about Amber Sherrill and her campaign. Later in this series, also, we're going to visit with Bradley Seaman, who oversees the election process for the city and county of Missoula. And we're going to talk about those mail-in ballots, what to do if you don't get one in the mail, and how to fill it out once you do. So thanks for taking the time. For MCAT, I'm Joel Baird.